Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Live Coding Elevensies. This is a show that I host every other week. If you're just tuning in for the first time, uh, I see it's Elevensies because it's 11 a.m. for me, which apparently is one of the more rare time zones for a lot of the ServiceNow community because I'm on the West Coast of America, and so it's 11 a.m. for me. But a lot of people are on the East Coast or overseas. I see that the value pattern in the chat says it's 70s in the UK, 7 p.m. I don't have a picture of it, but I do have clocks on my walls now to help me remember what time is it for different places in the world, especially because I have a teammate that's in Germany. So it's 8 o'clock p.m. for them right now. I have a lot of teammates that are in India right now, and it's 11:30 p.m. for them. And so it's my way of keeping track of knowing what time it is for people across the world. Drew in the chat says it's 8 o'clock for him. Hi, everybody in the chat. Carol, Drew, Value Pattern, Jesslyn. Hi, Jesslyn. Welcome back to Live Coding 11Cs. I'll do a previously on Live Coding 11Cs. So last time we made some big strides on our Promptception app. We kicked things off by using AI to quickly build out our table structure and even generate a service portal page from scratch. Then we really leaned into an AI coding tool called Cursor to write some of our widget directly into XML files. We also got the GitHub integration working. We did some real-time debugging where we had to kind of coach the AI to align with some ServiceNow best practices. But we got the widget submitting data successfully. We also had a good chat about widget design principles, especially when it comes to reusability. And then what we're going to work on today is diving into the core of the app that we're making right now, setting up Now Assist with the Now Assist skill kit to really expand initial prompts or like simple sentences that we might have into full-fledged prompts that we can utilize elsewhere, whether it be in Now Assist LLM or Now LLM or other places like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. So that's the different things that we worked on last time and things we're gonna work on today. Is that where Elevensies come from? Elevensies is an expression to indicate it's a time for a cuppa. I just knew it as one of the meal times for the Hobbits. And I really liked it because 11 a.m. was really good for me because it also lets me know I can have a hard stop if I need to go eat lunch. But for me, I'm drinking coffee usually during these ones. So cheers, everybody. Hi, Callie. Oh, another update real quick. Previously, we talked about how we were going to post the previous episode of these live coding streams to YouTube as a video on demand, edited to be concise and stuff like that. And I did that for the first episode of Live Coding 11Zs. This is episode 3 now. I did it for the first episode and I posted it 1 hour before the second episode 2 weeks ago. The problem was editing that one episode took me so long. It took me like 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours just to edit it down. And by the time I edited out all the fluff and the stuff that I didn't think people watching a video on demand wouldn't care to watch, I only had like cut down 10 minutes from the original video. And so the time and effort on editing it down was too much for me to want to keep doing that. And I told the team that. And so we made the decision that we would just let the videos go live and publish to me immediately after the live stream ends so that people can watch them immediately if they want to, if they missed it. And we're not going to do this video on demand thing anymore. But I am cutting out the intro and outro so that like the music, that 1 minute of waiting for the stream to start, I am cutting that out of the video on demand because YouTube allows you to do that to live streams after they post. So I'm doing that. But we're going to be publishing the live stream immediately now instead of trying to do the editing after the fact because it just takes way too long. And we want to be consistent about these live streams. And if editing is a barrier to us wanting to do these live streams, then we're not gonna do it, because doing the live stream is more important than the video part of it. Anyways, value patterns talking about. Can you also touch on prompt hygiene and what that means for people as we start to put AI to work? Yeah, and hey, Sakti, let's dive in. So I'll touch upon all that because we're gonna be really diving into the meat of this app now today. So let me share my screen. Ta-da. Okay, let me zoom. Is it zoomed in? Yeah, 200%, sure. Okay, so we already have a table structure for this app. I don't think that's it. Promptception. Did I? Oh, okay, so it's only one table so far. Oh, and portal widgets. We do have portal widgets. So I have some of these things, but one of the examples I'm going to use is saying, let's say user inputter. That's a joke from the first stream. We're doing really badly about how to name some of these fields. Okay, so for example, a lot of people that are getting into using AI and using generative AI are still not doing well about crafting good input. So the prompt that you use to generate a response from AI. And it's really important that you have a robust message, because AI is completely limited to what you give it. And there's so much information that can go into these things, and there's so many strategies and design paradigms. But we'll try to get to a few of them as we build this thing, particularly like a framework called Risen, and then also this idea of shot. And I'll explain that as I go along. There's no shot, one shot, two shot, etc. But so, for example, if someone says something like, convert this transcript of a live stream to a blog. So that is a prompt, and I could easily put that into ChatGPT. You'll notice I have all these tabs up here. I have a problem. If you follow me on TikTok or Instagram, I made a video about this, but I have so many AI services. It's really bad. I do have all these things up here. But yeah, I could take this, convert this transcript of a live stream to a blog, and I could put it into ChatGPT and then paste a transcript in here and figure it out. Right? But there's so much stuff missing from this prompt. Stuff like, well, what style do you want it to be in? Who's your audience? Should it be informal? Should it be formal? Should it be very technical? Should it not be technical? How robust of a blog do you want this to be? Is it just an overview? Like, there's so many things missing out of here that should be in here to make it easier for the AI to understand. Plus, so there's that. There's like giving it more instructions, like act as a certain role. Here's your instructions. What am I expecting? What are the limitations I want to give it? But there's also this thing called shot. So when I talk about shot, and I'm explaining this to you all now, I'll just use this as notes. There's no shot prompting. There's one shot prompting, and there's few shot prompting. No shot is basically this. I gave it a thing and I hope for the best. One shot is giving an example of what I expect. So it would be something like, example, and then I give it an existing blog that I've written maybe, and I say, here, this is my real blog. I want you to mimic this. That's an example. And now just by providing an example, the AI has a lot more to work with. It can understand a little bit more of your intent. It can understand a little bit of your audience, a little bit of your styling, etc. Few shot prompting is basically just it's one-shot prompting, but giving it a lot more examples. So 2 or 3 examples, maybe 3 examples, all from a different scenario. 3 examples that might come up in the wild, etc. Like you're giving it a lot more things to work with, so that it can kind of like decide which way it wants to go based off of the input you give it. So stuff like that needs to be incorporated into this thing. Okay, so let's make this. So I'm going to use this as my example. I'll remember it as the number is number 4. And hopefully we can change this into a much more robust prompt and save it into this field. Jerry's noticing that I have a bouncy logo up here. That's on my GitHub. If you ever want that logo, and just install it into your My Company file, and you can get it. Go to github.com/Earl Duque, and it's under animated SN logos. It's one of my pinned ones, and you'll be able to download any version that you need and put it into your instance. Basically, it's my way of knowing that I'm in a personal instance. So that's when all of my personal instances will have that bouncy logo, just so I know quickly, like, oh, I'm in my own. Also, hey Jerry, welcome. What else is going on here? Okay, cool. All right, so let's jump into skill kit. Now Assist skill kit. I think we started this last time. I can't remember, but let's see if I already have something in here. I think I did start it on the last stream, so I'll just continue from where I left off. Expand my prompt is what the skill kit skill I started. Okay, it looks like I configured the input of prompt. So this is the table record. And I have not touched the actual prompt yet. Okay. I've already kind of talked about the different things that I want to get to put into this prompt, but I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me type out all the stuff that I just talked about the Risen framework. If you don't know what the Risen framework is, let me do a quick. What is the Risen framework for prompt engineering? So it's basically assigning a role to the model. So like you are a expert consultant at a tech law firm or something like that. Input here, provide the context that you are trying to give it. So whatever input is changing. So in this case, the short prompt. Step instructions, what we expect from the person, and then constraints, or they call it nuance. For me, it's like constraints, like don't do this, limit yourself to this. Here's the tone you should be going to. And it has examples of one breakdown, like role, you're a technical writer. Input here is, wow, it's using its memory. It knows I do ServiceNow stuff. That's funny. Okay. Anyways, I won't jump through it. And then in combination of 1-shot, 2-shot, 3-shot, etc. Sakti is asking, could we get a skill kit in Now Learning? So Phil is correct in saying check out ServiceNow University. There are stuff in there. I think someone asked, like, where is Now Assist skill kit? Now Assist skill kit is it's installed in your instance as long as you have one of the Now Assist entitlements. So like Now Assist for Creator, Now Assist for ITSM, then it gets installed as part of that. So it's in the base of everything. You do have to install it. So there is a plugin, and then you have to make sure you assign yourself certain roles, which I believe I went through on the last episode. So check that out. But if something's not working for Now Assist skill kit, it's probably because you need to either update the plugin or install it, and you're missing the roles. So that's like every single time Now Assist skill kit hasn't worked for me. It's because of those two things. So FYI to you all. All right. So I am wanting to expand this, make it prompt, input. Oh wait, so I'm going to include the input of the prompt in here as there. So this is what's coming in from the record. I can do something like expand the following sentence to be a robust generative AI prompt. So here's a very simplified example of what I might be getting at. And I'm kind of interested to see how it runs. So I'm going to run this on number 4 and let's see what happens with it. Oh my gosh, stop scrolling. Why is it doing this? All right, so, oh, that's going to drive me insane. Okay, so here's what the prompt that it sent over to Now LLM. It's exactly what I typed. Expand the following sentence to be a robust generative AI prompt, and then it inserted the line from the record, which is why I think having AI tools built into ServiceNow is so powerful. Is because it's immediately integrated with a database and immediately integrated with all the existing stuff you have for your customers, like service portals, workspaces, all that stuff. So it runs and can quickly grab stuff from your database, which is becoming more of a thing even outside of frameworks like this, because like AI agents is becoming much more all over the place, not just ServiceNow, but like Claude can connect to your like Google Drive or GitHub and stuff like that, and it can act on those things for you and read files from your Google Drive, which is really cool. But for this being built into ServiceNow and being able to create this is pretty cool. And so the response with just this simple expand the following sentence to be a robust generative AI prompt, I got create a well-structured and engaging blog post by converting the provided transcript of a live stream. Ensure that the blog post captures the essence of the live stream, including key points, discussions, and insights. Organize the content in a logical and coherent manner using headings, subheadings, and bullet points where appropriate. Write in a clear and concise style using appropriate tone and language for the intended audience. Include any relevant images, videos, or external links to enhance the reader's understanding and engagement. Finally, proofread and edit the blog post for grammar, spelling, and punctuation errors before publishing. That's obviously a much more robust prompt already. So that's good. That was a good no-shot attempt, the low-effort no-shot attempt to do the functionality that we're hoping for in this app. But we could do a lot better. And instead of making you all sit through all of this, of typing out a much more robust prompt, I have one, and I will share that in chat. Let me edit this real quick. This should be, there we go. And then there, let me do that. All right, so here is a given prompt, and I'm going to copy and paste this. I just posted it in the chat. I'll put it in the description too for anybody watching this afterwards. But let's go in and change this to this much more robust prompt. And let's walk through it a little bit. You are an expert prompt engineer specializing in the Risen framework. Your task is to take a simple one-sentence prompt and expand them into comprehensive, well-structured prompts that maximize AI performance. So here it's giving a process. Here's the role. And so how I built this is like a combination of like tell the AI that it's incorporating Risen and how to do that. But I also gave it clarification on, hey, you should be taking guesses on things that should be found in the intent. So there's going to be a lot of interpretation. If they only give you one sentence, I want the AI to interpret and make guesses on what they think the person is and actually build toward that instead of leaving it blank as a mystery. Because I like the idea that let it be almost over robust, because then you can scale it back or you can edit it to what you need it to be. If you don't let it be as robust as possible, you run into the problem of you don't know what you don't know. So I rather give us more, and then we can, as a user, scale it back. So it's showing what framework to apply to it, and then it's providing an output format. And then so the example, and then it provides examples for the shot, for the few shot. So you can utilize this. Here, hold on. Let me. Where's the? I need to insert the original prompt somewhere here. So I'm going to insert the original prompt here. And then let me see if I need to put it anywhere else. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to save this. And now, hopefully this tool is going to apply this robustness to any smaller prompt that people provide. So let me run that and see how that works. And it's going to do that wild super scroll thing as it saves. Oh, it's because the banners are making me scroll upwards again. Okay, so I've never run this, by the way, before, so I'm seeing this live. Okay, let me see. Okay, so I don't like that it did this because I only wanted to provide the end, so I'm going to need to clarify that. I don't want it to include the original stuff because I want it to be able to be copy pastable easily um, to another place. But it assigned a role. You remember my original prompt was the convert this transcript of a live stream to a blog, and so it's assigning a role. You are a skilled content creator and experienced blogger with expertise in repurposing live stream content for a blog format. It gives a lot of context, and I don't know who's watching, and if people want me to give like a rundown of how large language models work and why these kind of things, like just giving it a role, changes the result so much, ask me in chat and I'll stop and I'll talk about it. Knowing how generative AI works and how large language models work is really helpful when you are a developer. I definitely recommend everybody knowing that stuff as you dive more into development and using generative AI more and more in your work. Hey, Mari. Okay, Sakti is telling me I should talk about it. Okay, I will talk about it. I'll finish my thought on this response, and then we'll move forward with it. I'll take a step back and talk about large language models. Okay, so it gave it a role. It has instructions. Your task is to convert the provided transcript of a live stream into a well-structured, engaging blog post that retains the essence of the original content while making it accessible and appealing to a blog audience. So here's some of the interpretation that came in. Saying retains the essence of the original content is a interpretation, because we could have said in the prompt, hey, we want it to be professional because a blog is going to go on a corporate website. But all we gave it was convert this transcript of the live stream to a blog. So it's thinking the intent is probably that you're the owner of both the live stream and the blog, and it's the audience is the same. And so it's making that interpretation for it. So now that I see that it's doing that, maybe it is going to go on a corporate, very professional technical blog place. So, but I'm glad that it added that sentence, because now I know to go in here and say a blog post that is targeting a very corporate, professional blog, etc. So that's cool. And then it gives all the steps: review the live stream transcript, organize the content, write an attention-grabbing intro, expand on each section with additional context, etc. So it's giving all these cool steps about how to actually go about constructing a good blog post, which also helps a lot for LLMs. And I'll talk about that too when I go into a little monologue about LLMs in a little bit, since Sakti asked for it. And then an expectation or end goal. produce a 1,000 to 1,500 word blog post that effectively conveys the key points and is engaging and accessible and adheres to the blog style and tone guidelines. And then, hey, Pavan, and then narrowing. So it added all of the restrictions and all of the limiting stuff for me. Focus on creating coherent narrative, avoid simply copying and pasting large sections, maintain conversational appeal, optimize for readability, bullet points, clear formatting. The blog post is free of errors. So that is a great. I think. See, remember when we first no-shotted this, it had just one paragraph. It was fine, but this is obviously so much better, and this is why having good prompt writing ability is so helpful when utilizing generative AI. So let me real quick. I'm going to save this. Because this is what I'm going to run with this, and I'm going to use this to build out the app. Before we get into that part of it, I will do my little monologue now. Okay, so large language models. We had a really fun activity at some of the world forums the end of last year, where we played Now Assist versus the developer meetups. And one of the ways that we demonstrated what a large language model is that we sat everybody around in different groups, and we said, hey, write a script for this thing, like a script, like a code script. And some of them were simple, some of them were harder. But if you were by yourself, you would have to work off of the knowledge that you have and would be able to retain to write out a script to do like a glide record or a glide Ajax or whatever. And then if you had two people together, then that helps a lot. Two people have a lot of knowledge between them, especially if they're ServiceNow developers. And maybe one person doesn't remember all the exact syntax for one thing, but the other person does. So that helps. Now our knowledge is better. Now we organized everybody into teams of like 5 or 6 people. And now those 5 and 6 people putting all of their knowledge together got most of those things done. Most of the prompts they were able to write out a script and stuff like that. And then what if then we got all the groups together and we said like, well, who had the best? Did everyone have a better one than Now Assist, and why was that better? And now the room as a collective whole had a much better answer to the problem that we were trying to solve. That is essentially what a large language model is. Large language models, why they call it large language is because it's taking billions and billions of text and using that as the collective information that it's pulling from, as if all of our brains were put together so that we can solve something in person. Large language models is taking a ton of text and it's saying, this is my knowledge base and this is where I'm going to draw things from. But I'm a computer. I'm able to draw from this thing rapidly. And with these billions of tokens or words or phrases that go into my model, my large language model, basically a framework of text, there's a lot more nuance to that and like how it's structured. It's not just like a big text file, but past that, a large language model is essentially that, a collective knowledge gathered from GitHub, gathered from text online, literature, scrubbing the internet, depending on how good they were about licensed material, etc. Like it's just a bunch of text, medical histories, diagnoses for medical stuff, scripts for all over GitHub, documentation, API documentation, examples of people's Postman, REST API calls, all of that stuff, all put into one big large language model. And then when you give the large language model a prompt, so when you go into a place like ChatGPT and you say something like, write a story about a dog learning how to fetch. I don't know. What it's going to do when I press enter is that it's going to take my sentence, write a story about a dog learning how to fetch, and it's going to break it down into tokens. It's going to say it's going to think about it in pieces, basically. So I'm looking for a story, a story about a dog learning, a story about learning, a story about a dog learning. The dog is trying to fetch, the dog is learning to fetch, etc. So it's breaking these things into tokens, to smaller pieces, trying to understand, like, okay, here's my context. Now I'm going to figure out how I should respond according to this context. And then ChatGPT also has hidden tokens behind the scenes, hidden prompts behind the scenes that are also going along with your prompt. But now it's taking all of that context and it goes, what should my first response token be? And when I say response token, I'm basically saying, what should the first word be? Oh, when I look at all of my large language model history and data, when I'm writing a story, it's mostly starting with once. Like if we're going for like fairy tale, like once upon a time. It's like, oh, the first word should be once, or the, or a, because I'm gonna lead with a dog, right? So it's taking a guess at like, hey, what's the most likely starting token word? And it's once. Okay, now that I have once as my first token, and now I have all my existing contextual tokens that the user gave me, what should be the next word? Well, if my first word for a story is once, it's 99.99999% likely that my next word is upon a time. And so I'm going to say, that's my first sentence now, once upon a time. And that's what it's going to do over and 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 over again until it realizes, you know what, at this point, this is where my model, my text history, my large language model says that the story should end, and I'm done. And I'm going to send it back. Some models will even start reasoning. It'll say, hey, here's all my response tokens. Let me go back and reassess, like, is this still like fitting of what I'm expecting? And I'm going to start reasoning through. That's when they call it reasoning models, is because it's going to keep going back and saying, like, hey, did I do a good job on this? Now that I have all this tokens, how can I redo it? And it's going to edit it and reiterate off of it before it gives you a response. But a large language model essentially is doing that. It's a fill in the blank simulator, basically, and it's just doing it rapidly as it's trying to figure out of all of its history, what is the best response to give you by predicting token at a time, word at a time and putting it together. So that's what a large language model is. And so let's get into why a good prompt is helpful and why having examples or telling it has a role is very helpful to the large language model. The large language model works off of these contextual tokens that you've given it. And so if you give it more context of how it should predict the next word or how it should determine what comes next in a sentence, it will be more accurate to what you're trying to do. So if I'm saying, write a story about a dog learning how to fetch, that's all it's going to work off of. But if I say, hey, you are a professional story writer, a children's author, laureate, incredibly accomplished, it's going to not just write the story, but it's going to look for all of its history of tokens that says, like, well, I'm not going to think about the stories that are just written all over the internet. I'm going to look for well-regarded author texts and examples of those stories. And that's going to change the response fundamentally than if I said, hey, your role is that you are a 7-year-old child learning how to write their first story. And it's going to, so that's the context it's going to give it. So like the things that you give it, the role that you assign the prompt, the AI, will dramatically change the result. And that's what we're hoping for, because the more context we give it, the better it will guess what the words that it needs to give us back. So when you give it roles, when you give it instructions, when you give it all those things, the response will always just get better because it will have more context on its predictions of what to give back to you. And then when we go to examples like no shot, one shot, few shot prompting, it just furthermore gives more examples. Like if you give a full example of what you're looking for, it's going to use that as context to look for other examples that are similar to it and then predict based off of that. So that's how a large language model works, and that's why prompt engineering is a thing, or why writing good prompts is a thing. Thank you for that monologue. Hopefully that was helpful. Maybe I'll clip that. How long was that? How long was I talking about that? Like, I'll use that and I'll put a video on it because that might be helpful. Because I think a lot of people don't know exactly how large language models work yet, but it's helpful to know why. Because then you'll know you'll be a better prompt writer. Okay, let's continue. Oh, let me take a drink because that was a lot of talking. That was a lot of talking. I need to take a drink real quick. Coffee. For all you parents out there, you understand why coffee and tea or caffeine is so important. Okay, let's get back into service now. All right, so we have this prompt. Let me switch views. I remembered this time. If anybody was there the first episode, I kept forgetting to switch views back to the big view. All right. So looking here, let's finalize the prompt. Once finalized, you won't be able to edit this version. It's just saying that it's creating versions so that one version is always existing in case you publish it, so that you don't have to edit a live one. So whenever you want to update a prompt, it'll create a new version of it. So and you'll work on that one, and then you'll switch it out for the main one later if you need to switch them out. So my goal is to get it to run whenever a new record like this is inputted, and then automatically save it into the expanded prompt field. So I need to get this to run on a business rule, async, and activate the skill, and then put it into the expanded prompt. So let's work on that. I think I need to do something else before I do that. So skill settings, I think. So I am using Now LLM generic. That's it, right? I think, do I go under deployment settings, I think? I'll keep it under other workflows. So this is just saying where should it show up in the Now Assist skill admin area. Since I'm making this not part of any other thing, I'm going to say keep it as other, which I don't have products or features under. I don't want it to show up as an analysis panel thing. Oh, these are new. I haven't seen these yet. I'm only used to these two. Flow action. Allow the skill to be used from a flow action. Once activated, you can access the skill through execute skill flow action. You know what? Let's try that. I'm going to do both. What is this table called? Oh, how come I can't see it? Okay, well, I'll leave that as is for now. Weird. How do I make it show up in here? Prompt? X? Maybe I have to finalize it first. Okay, so let me see if I can fix that first. So save. Let's publish. Prompt name. That's not good. Oh, I already messed it up. Okay, update prompt. We're gonna go to version 2 already. Prompt name should be simple prompt expander. Okay, that's better. Let's publish this. Okay, now does it show up? Let's see. This has happened before, but I can't remember why. Bill inputs his prompt. I don't need to put it anywhere else, right? I don't. It's not a tool. Oh gosh, doesn't need anything here. I don't think so. I don't need any processors. Wow. Let me zoom out real quick because I want to see what else shows up on here. There's not many things show up on here actually. Interesting. Yay, live coding doesn't work. Okay, we're gonna do flow action and see how that turns out. Okay, so flow action. Now let's go to, we have to activate this skill. So I'm going to go over to Now Assist admin. Do, 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 do. Y'all like this? You can see your chats in the window now? That's new. Hi, Mahati. Panda chess. You're trying to make an app in React for my Android. How to go with, I don't know, JS tags or JS. You know what? So this isn't that stream, but I do random side development stuff on stuff. Um, if you don't know how to make an app in React Native, my first suggestion is to go to a tool like either ChatGPT or Gemini and ask it to give you a robust plan for making your first app and or creating the code for your first React app, and then walk through and learn how to make it. Especially if you can, if you have access to either Gemini or Claude, especially figuring out how to install it in a CLI. Like if I go in here and put, I have Claude loaded here. I can, you can create a lot of cool apps just by doing that. Like create a simple React Native app that is Android compatible and does this simple functionality, and let it build the first files and then go look through those files and see how it works. Honestly, that's one of the best ways to do it right now. I'll even say this, when making an Android app or an iPhone app or any app that requires some form of like templated structure, like for iOS apps, it's the Swift files and the Swift the plist file and stuff like that, all that kind of stuff. In Android, similar, there's certain things that need to go into wherever you start those projects and have it establish the baseline template files, even if they're blank, and then save that as a repository, and then work off of that and tell your AI to build files off of that, because then it'll have a lot better context. So like I said earlier, giving AI a lot of context is always helpful. Okay, going back to what we were talking about. Sorry for getting distracted again. I need to turn on the Now Assist features. So I put it under Other. Oh, I think I was able to go on that little side tangent because it was taking a long time for it to activate. Not showing up though. Okay, let me go back to Now Assist. Click it. Welcome to live coding, where half the time we're figuring out why things didn't show up. So it's under Other. I published it. Published. Should be under other. Usually I have to activate the skill. So let me figure out where that's not. I don't see that right now. Oh, okay. It's just I hadn't loaded the UI yet. All right. So here's my skill. Let's activate it. There's a flow action I was expecting. Save. Okay, there's nothing to review, so I'm going to go ahead and activate it. It's so long for that to load. Okay. Hopefully it's activated. I'm going to go move on to Flow Designer and see what I can do about it. So while that loads, I've got to figure out what to do. What time is it in Australia right now? Time in Sydney. Okay, it's 4:47 a.m. Okay. Why I'm saying that is because in 2 weeks from now, I will be in Australia for the Sydney World Forum. So I think it would be funny if I try to stream at the same time slot as right now. So I would have to be up at 4 a.m. to do that live stream. Is that doable? I think so. I think I'm going to go for it. I'll go for it. I think I'll stream at the same exact time slot. So in 2 weeks, same time slot, but I'll be in Australia instead of California. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. All right. Let's create a new. I'll just do a flow because I want to get it done. Yeah, Sharon says you need a lot of coffee. Derek is watching. He's always watching now. I'm always like, oh, is boss watching? Oh, okay. Hi, Evan. Let's do convert or run prompt. Run prompt expanding skill on insert. Build. Derek's so supportive. Okay. Oh, that reminds me. I wanted to talk to Derek about. There was a blog I wanted to write, and I wanted it to be about focused on you. Actually, I really wanted us to write a nice blog about managing developer advocacy, because I think there's a lot of cool stuff that I've learned from Derek that I think a lot of people can learn about, and I would love to highlight that at one point. Surprise, I never told you about that. Anyways, we're going to do record created on prompt, and we'll make sure that user input is not empty, and expanded prompt is indeed empty. Not right now, later, Derek, in a couple hours. Okay. So that's the trigger. I hear, and it's very soon. I can't talk about that. It's not. I was about to say something that's coming out soon, and I can't talk about that. Never mind. Tune into Tech Now. Register. Look for Tech Now Zurich and register online to find out cool stuff coming in future updates. Ooh, almost said that on that loud. Okay. And I've not used Now Assist Skill Kit with a flow action, so I'm very interested to see it appear here. Expand my prompt. Expand. Okay, it's not there. Prompt. Nope. Analysis. Skill kit. Skill kit. Execute skill. Oh, that's what it said in the thing. That's right. Okay. It said uh where did it show you? I wanted to make sure people saw why I knew where it was. So now it's this skill kit. When I go back to the prompt I just made, the skill I just made, in skill settings, under deployment, when you wear in flow action, it specifically says once activated, you can access the skill through execute skill. So there it is. Workflow is other. Product is none, none, none. Skill config is there it is. Expand my prompt. Prompt is from the record. Sweet. Oh man, that makes it so much easier. That actually makes it really easy. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, that's so much easier than the way I used to do it via a business rule. With oh, that makes it so much simpler because the format for the UI action, when you just execute the skill through scripting, the payload that returns is the most convoluted dot walked paradigm payload that I have seen in a long time, and you have to know exactly where to like the exact dot walk to get to it, and it's really annoying because it doesn't explicitly say anywhere. So them giving it as a flow action is so helpful. Actually, makes me love Now Assist LLM even more. Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna update record, and we're going to update the trigger record with expanded prompt, and we're going to give it execute skill output response. I think that's it. I think that's all we needed. So I'm going to save, test it on prompt 4, and let's make sure that's available so we can see it as it happens. So here it is. User input is this. Expanded at prompt is still blank. You know what? Before I do that, let's just test it. Let's just test it for now. Okay, so processing the test flow. This stuff is async, so just because it's finished running doesn't necessarily. Oh, it worked. Okay. It's still doing the crazy JSON.walk. Okay, so we do have to do some formatting. That's so funny that they didn't just. So they. Why did they do it that way? I wish they would just give us the output because that's what we asked for in here. Okay. So that means I need to probably transform it. Is JSON in here? No. Well, at least it's saving. So I can convert it. I know I can convert it. I could have easily converted it as a script, but I need to figure out how to do that in Flow Designer real quick. But it did give it out as a JSON object, which I guess is helpful, especially because if you are going to use it in some other way, not just inputting it into a text field, that's fine. I understand that. I wish they had just given us another way to output just the actual this part of the payload model output, which I guess it's the only thing in this entire JSON object, which is funny. Okay. All right. So the other thing I wanted to do that I thought I should do too was only do this if it's not an error. So if execute skill What's action says? So I think I wanted to do if error code is empty, and then run it. If no error. Because what I also want to do, let me put this, can I put this in here? Will it let me? Can I not? There we go. Okay. And because I wanted to update the state too, but only if it's successful. Which also means I have in there update sorry, I'm not talking out what I'm doing properly. Sorry, everyone. I have an in progress state, which means I need to make sure that's happening in here. So I'm going to put this up here at the top. Okay, so and actually that means this state should be state. The trigger should say state is new. Okay, so now that that's done, let's redo this so that this converts to just the response. And XML now. Sanitize. I thought there was a JSON one. I guess not. Because there should be like a encode, not like a parse or an encode. I guess not. Okay, so I can either create, well, let me check if there's any other action. Is there a JSON one? So I can create a script action in Flow to handle that. Or I can put in a business rule in here to intercept it and then do that. It's probably faster for the sake. Oh, it's time. Okay, I have to wrap up then, because I want to make sure I respect people's time. So that's important. But hey, it's working. We got it to take an user input and push it into here, into the expanded prompt input. So next episode, we'll focus on formatting it, getting it into just the text so that it's ready for copy and pasting by the user. And then we'll start working on like letting people submit to it and let it run and stuff like that, and make it a tool that people could use and potentially release it on like dev program resources or something like that. So we'll get back to it eventually. In 2 weeks, we'll probably wrap up the app, and then we'll move on to a new app and make that. And I'll have this like 4-episode in one stream app thing. Okay, cool. Thanks for everyone for joining me today on this stream. Thanks for listening to my ramblings and incoherent thoughts about random things. Hopefully this is enjoyable or useful. But yeah, I'll be out for a couple weeks as I travel for different reasons. So, but I'm around. I'll be back in 2 weeks to stream. Thanks, everybody. And good night to everybody in the middle of the night. If you're in India, that's really late for you. If you're in Europe, it's getting late. But yeah, thanks, everyone. Bye.